People generally associate enlightenment with religions. The first psychologist to study enlightenment was C.G. Jung. Jung was a student and associate of Freud. Later he developed his own system, which he called analytical psychology. And the process of enlightenment he called individuation. Jung thought that we have a collective unconscious, which is the storehouse of ancestral evolutionary experiences. We have in our collective unconscious archetypes, which are focal points of ancestral experience. The process of enlightenment or individuation consists of becoming aware of these archetypes in the collective unconscious and releasing their energy. Psychic energy is tied up in these archetypes, and when you release all the energies tied up in these archetypes, you are enlightened. God is an archetype, self is an archetype. Important concepts or aspects of experience in our evolutionary history are the archetypes. The most important archetype is the self. The self is reinforced across countless generations, and a lot of psychic energy is tied up with the self. So, you have to understand how the self is closely associated with our instincts and our mechanism of self-preservation. God is also an archetype, and you have to understand how psychic energies are tied up with the concept of God. But the ultimate liberation comes from transcending the self, that is becoming aware of the self and how energy is tied up in this archetype. When you finally release all the energies tied up with the archetypes, including the archetype of the self, you reach a point of awareness and control. So the entire psyche is now under your awareness and control, and that, according to Jung, is enlightenment. Apparently, you also get psychic powers when you are finally liberated from the bondage by the archetypes. And Jung himself could demonstrate that with psychic powers, including psychokinesis. And one of the several witnesses to Jung's demonstration of psychokinesis was Freud himself. Freud has attested and he has written that once Jung gave a demonstration, and Freud himself witnessed several objects in the room rattling without anybody touching. Jung also had visions. He also used to hear voices. Now, many people think that if somebody has a vision, he is a psychotic. There is a difference between hallucinations and visions. A vision is under the control of the person. A vision is integrating, while a hallucination is disturbing. It disintegrates the person. So that's the main difference. Visions are associated with integration of the personality, and also it is associated with ESP. So Jung had dreams involving clairvoyance, and when Jung would sleep at a particular place, he would dream of historical events which took place there. And later on inquiry, he found that he was really seeing events like the march of an army or a fight which took place at that place long ago. So Jung is not a mere theoretician, but he had actually attained some form of psychic evolution. The next important psychologist to work on enlightenment was Abraham Maslow. Maslow is known for his theory of needs. Maslow proposed a hierarchy of needs. At the base you have physiological needs, then you have psychological needs, and on the very top you have self-fulfillment needs. Enlightenment is finally a matter of need transcendence. You start with physiological needs. Ordinarily, living beings are obsessed with physiological needs like food, water, security, air, and things like that. Once these things are reasonably assured, you transcend the fixation on physiological needs. And then you have psychological needs. You need acceptance, love, and all that. And once you transcend the psychological needs also, that means you have reasonably succeeded in attaining all those needs. And then you reach the level of self-fulfillment needs. And among self-fulfillment needs, at the lower level you have need for actualizing your hidden potentialities, whatever they are. And lastly, you have what is known as transcendental self-actualization, which is generally what is referred to as enlightenment. And like Jung, Abraham Maslow also comes to the self. You have to transcend even the need for self-actualization in order to reach the level of transcendental self-actualization. So finally, you reach a state of perfect contentment. You don't have to even achieve self-actualization. But that is, you have attained self-actualization and you are not fixated on that. And that is final need transcendence. When you transcend even the fixation on self-actualization.